And we are live, streaming across LinkedIn and YouTube. If you're watching this live, put a comment on, let me know you're out there. If you're watching it on the replay, also comment and let me know. Because today, we are going to focus on a very interesting topic. Just for a second, imagine that you're delivering a very important presentation. Let me ask you this, how good would it be if within the opening 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 5 minutes of that presentation, you could have the audience not only liking you, but wanting to listen to you? Would that not be a great position to be in when delivering a presentation? Comment below if you agree with me, because that's exactly what we're going to cover here today in this little live stream session. How to start a brilliant presentation. I want to share with you what I know, because when I started delivering presentations, I had no clue how to start at all. Some people said to start with humor, some said to start with an inspirational quote, some said just be yourself, some said just say your name. And I really found it tough to figure out what makes a compelling start. But over time, through a lot of trial and error, mostly error, I learned not only how not to start, but how to start, how to get the audience to be on board with you and what you are saying and what you are doing. And that's what I want to share with you. I'm going to share with you 4 steps which will help you when delivering and starting a presentation. And these 4 steps, they'll work for any size of presentation you are delivering, whether that be, a 5-minute one, a 10-minute one, 1 hour, or a full day. There will be something for you here in this session. So my promise to you is after this 10 minutes or so, you are going to know exactly how to start in a compelling way for your next big presentation. So let's get into step number 1. And as I say, comment below if you've got any questions as we go through all of these steps right now, and I'll answer them as we're working through. So step number 1 is to start your presentation off with a hook. You have to say or do something which gets people to lean in. Now, all great hooks have 2 key ingredients, and I call these the 2 C's. They give the audience context and they create curiosity. Context is giving people a rough idea of what is coming up. It's setting the expectations for a presentation. Think of it like a movie trailer, okay? You watch your movie trailer, it gives you a sense of what that film will be about. Now, curiosity, on the other hand, is a little bit different. This is the actual techniques you use to get people to lean in. So you can do things like asking a question, making a big statement, getting people to imagine, like I did at the start of this presentation. Think about your audience's needs and wants as well, and create your hook around that. Because if you can say something or do something which strikes a nerve in terms of what an audience is struggling with or what an audience desires, that will grab their attention. So step number 1 is to create a compelling hook for the opening couple of seconds of your presentation, which gives people context and creates curiosity. Now, step number 2, this is where you need to introduce. You need to introduce yourself and introduce yourself in relation to the topic. Okay, when I say introduce yourself, a lot of people think of that like sharing your CV, sharing what you've achieved, sharing your status, sharing your position. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about you sharing a story which is related to what your presentation will be about. Okay, so if you are delivering a presentation on how to use Zoom, for instance, a great story to share would be your first experience on Zoom. Share an experience with the audience where it didn't go too well for you. Because why? Why do you want to do that? Because it will make you more relatable. Sometimes we look at an expert and we think, oh, I could never be like them. But if the expert shares a story of when they were not an expert and when they were just learning, then all of a sudden, oh, I can relate to them. That's what your audience will say. That's why you need to introduce yourself. Now, depending on your time frame, it might be a short introduction, a short anecdote, or a longer anecdote. It really depends on how long your presentation is. Now, step number 3, and this is something which a lot of people include, but they don't include it in a very compelling way, is to make sure you bring up the agenda for the session. There's nothing worse than not knowing as an audience member what the session is going to be about and what you will be doing. People like to be let in on the plan. So share the plan with them. Tell them what they should expect. Tell them when there's going to be breaks. That's very important for online presentations. Tell them what you're going to cover. Tell them what the end result should look like. By sharing the agenda and not just having a bullet point slideshow of all the points you're going to cover, but creating it in a more compelling way, maybe through images, pictorials, perhaps even just saying it yourself with a bit of passion. If you share an agenda like that, then the agenda almost all of a sudden becomes something which the audience are excited about. And that's what you want your audience to feel when they look at your agenda. You want them to feel like, yes, I'm in the right place. I'm looking forward to this. That's where you want your audience to be when they hear your agenda. So what's step number 4? Well, let's just recap quickly. The first couple of seconds, we've got our hook, our 10-second hook. Then we've moved on to introducing ourselves, sharing a personal anecdote when we weren't such an expert so we can relate to the audience. And then third, of course, we've got the agenda in place there. So people are part of the plan and they know what's coming up. What's the final step? The final step is to make a promise. And I notice I've got a comment here from Jin. I think it's really important. Yes, the agenda is important, Jin, no doubt about it. If we don't know where we're going, then we're just going to start to panic a little bit inside, aren't we? We need to let people, our audience, in on the plan. So like I said, step number 4 is to make a promise. I want you to make a commitment to your audience. I want you to tell them how they will feel after your session. Because yes, we take on board information. Yes, it's really useful, but that's not often what people are left with. People leave remembering how they felt. So if you can give an insight into what you're hoping to achieve, into how you want your audience to feel by the end, that's going to get them excited. That's going to get them interested and intrigued and wanting to listen to you. So share with the audience what your end objective is, how you want them to be. Make a promise, a commitment, a line in the sand, which you have to abide by. Not only will this elevate your audience's expectations, but it'll make you perform because you've said it. Now you have to go out and achieve it as a presenter. So those are the 4 steps, okay? Firstly, add in that hook. Secondly, introduce yourself. Third, agenda. And 4th, make a commitment. And if you look back at the start of this video, you'll see those 4 points in action. I created a hook by getting you to imagine starting a brilliant presentation. I then introduced myself by sharing with you how I did not know how to start when I began public speaking. And then I told you the agenda. We were going to cover 4 steps before making a final commitment that you would leave knowing how to start an excellent presentation. So those are those 4 steps in action. Rewatch this video if you want to see how it's all flowing together. But this works tremendously well in any form of presentation you do. I use it to this day. I use this on a weekly basis. So if you don't know how to start, go to this template. It's a great place where you can not only be creative, but you've got a strong structure in place as well. So unless we've got any questions coming in, I'll round up the session. One thing I do want to tell you about is this bad boy over here, my new book. It came out in September, The 5 Pillars of Effective Public Speaking. If you enjoyed those tips today, which you heard, then you're going to love this. I've literally poured all of my knowledge I have on public speaking into these pages right here. So far on Amazon, the book's got 13 reviews and they're all 5 stars. So there must be something half decent in those pages. If you'd like to try it out, to find the book, you can get it in paperback form, like you can see there. It's also as an ebook and finally an audiobook. And I love the audiobook feature because that way you're able to hear my voice, hear the different techniques, and it sort of brings the book to life is what a lot of people have been telling me. So if you'd like to get that book, just type in the 5 Pillars of Effective Public Speaking into Amazon, or Kyle Murter into Amazon, and it will come up in my audio wish list. I love that, Isabella. Love it. And thanks, Jen. I'm really glad you enjoyed the template. I'm looking forward to our one-to-one as well. I'm going to round up the session now, but if you want to ask a question, leave it in the comments and I will get back to you later on. But remember those 4 steps when you're starting your next presentation, and no doubt it will be a success. Have a great day, everyone.